Reggie here, your friendly neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This is Comics Today, a show that we do on Wednesday to celebrate the best day of the week, that being New Comic Book Day. And I can tell you, this has been a little bit of a crazy day. There were some things that I wanted to talk about in this show, specifically high net worth individuals, investors that may be buying comics based upon some things that I've seen in the news as of late. So we are going to actually talk about that. That was the main thing that I wanted to talk about. But over the course of the day, I have received a series of messages from people about two things predominantly. The first thing is what is going on with Penguin, Random House, and their shipments out to LCSs. And that actually started first thing this morning. I think it was like Pretty Fly for a Filipino guy was the first person to send me something related to that. I misunderstood what he was saying because I only read part of what he sent. But there seems to be some crazy stuff that is happening with Penguin. I don't know if we're going to get to that, but that is definitely something that is hot right now for a lot of folks. I skimmed the comments in the comment section, so I know that folks are thinking about this, talking about this, and this is a topic. This is a concern. But the other thing that has broken as of the last little bit here, and 2021 New Age Investments actually hit me to this one about 2 hours ago, hour and a half ago, was the fact that there may be a new grading company emerging. And I want to try to squeeze that one in. I want to try to get to that one. But we are first going to do what we normally do, which is to talk about the books that you all may have picked up at your LCS earlier today. If you did pick up some books, let me know in the comment section what you picked up. If there's something that you read that was really awesome that we should put on the top of our stack, let me know that as well. But as a reminder, this show, Comics Today, is actually rebroadcast on the podcast. And the podcast platform really doesn't matter. Whatever your preferred podcasting platform happens to be, if you search Reggie Collects, you will probably find me there. This show that you're listening to, watching right now will be rebroadcast next Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I've made some adjustments to when content is being released, and the podcast is now coming out on Monday at 10 a.m. And my regularly scheduled pre-recorded videos are now coming out at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So a little bit of an adjustment there. I have definitely felt the pain this week with making that adjustment to the views that the videos are getting, but nevertheless, we will persevere. So I did not make it to my LCS today. I did make it to the LCS over the weekend, however, and I picked up some of my books from the previous 2 weeks because I hadn't been there. So I will show you guys that, but I am going to go to the chat here in a hot second and see what it is that you guys may have picked up. I'm kind of scrolling through some of the comments here. Matt Woods is putting it out there that he picked up some Conan stuff from Ablaze. No one is surprised by that, sir, that you picked up some Conan. Well done. Let me see. Oh, you guys have to check out Out is the one. Out is the book that Steve White is talking about here. He says it was awesome. Fred picked up Nice House on the Lake, issue number 5, Dark Ages number 2, Defenders 3, Deadpool, Black, White, and Blood number 3, and a couple of other books there. So definitely, he's a friend of his LCS. No doubt about that one. Ken picked up ASM 75 and Wonder Woman, the 80th anniversary. That is what's up. Mark, who I can always depend upon up there in Canada, picked up Billy is that Kid or Billy the Kid? Is that really it? Is it Kid or Kid? Children of the Plague number 1, Soul Plumber, Inferno 1, Last Flight Out number 2, The Me You Love in the Dark issue number 3, a Scotty Young written comic that I am enjoying. Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 75. I am definitely sorry for that. And a couple of other books that he managed to snag. What is that? I was at the LCS today and saw tiny boxes. Marvel's comics were shipped in. The comics barely fit in the box. So Gordon is offering some commentary on the quality of the shipping boxes that are being used by Penguin to distribute Marvel comics. And I have seen that box. It is not a large box at all. Doug says, I was a bad customer today, too busy to hit the LCS. So with that, I will show you guys what it is that I picked up over the weekend. I snagged the pajamas cover for Miles Morales Spider-Man issue number 30. He's in his PJs. Picked up Icon and Rocket issue number 3. I think this is a 6-part series, so went ahead and picked that up. Inferno issue number 1, which I have read. Did not enjoy that. Did not enjoy Inferno at all. Maybe I need to read it again. Maybe I'm missing something there, but I read it. I did not enjoy it, but I will tell you that I do enjoy this cover right here, so much so that I had this thing in my virtual cart twice on 2 different shops and ended up snagging it at the LCS. Gorgeous cover. There's one without the trade dress that I would have loved to have snagged, but anyway, we are on the board with that really awesome Mystique cover. And then I also picked up Moths issue number 4. This is a series I've been reading, and then the Resistance Uprising issue number 6 of 6. So a couple of cool AWA books there, some Marvel books, and one DC book. So we kind of covered the gamut by and large. So shout out to my man Rob Boswell. He says, why are you buying up collections, brother? Why is there a word missing there? Is there a word missing there? Because if the question is why aren't I buying collection, or wait a minute, why you buying up collectibles? You got to add some extra words in there, because I think 1 or 2 words may be missing, Rob Boswell, that is affecting my ability to interpret. But I will say thank you for the super chat, brother. I definitely appreciate that. Scrolling through some of the comments here. Let me see. The Art Germ cover is absolutely beautiful. Grab that one myself. 424 is talking about that Mystique cover that I showed just a hot second ago. It is definitely a cool one. Scrolling through. Gotta have fuzzy snipper. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but I dig it. You can't go wrong with fuzzy slippers. What is that? I picked up Gun Honey issue number 1, says Gordon. I'm scrolling up through the comments here. So it is Kit. It was Kit. Okay, thank you, brother. I wasn't sure if that was a re-release of something that had come out before. So thank you for clarifying that one for me. Rush, my Canadian brother, says he found a Daredevil issue number 9, first Echo for cheap at the LCS. High grade, right up my alley. I actually have 3 copies of that book. It's just cool. I dig the Echo character, and the covers that she tends to appear on are also pretty awesome. So as I mentioned at the top of the show, there was a topic that I wanted to dig into in this show. And to some degree or another, it is something that dovetails with things that Doug and I think Alan and I have discussed in the past, in which we talked about whether comic book collecting was for the rich. So there was this really interesting article that I found on Motley Fool. And this article essentially highlighted that ultra high net worth and high net worth individuals actually have a large percentage of their actual wealth tied up in alternative investments. And alternative investments are basically anything that is not a listed stock, a bond, or some type of currency. So in other words, it's a broad term that encompasses a lot of stuff, right? It encompasses things like tangible assets, including wine, baseball cards, art, commodities like precious metals, real estate, private equity, private credit, investments in hedge funds. Like, it is a catch-all for a lot of stuff. And it also, alternative investments also includes cryptocurrencies, which have been incredibly hot as of whatever period of time you want to say. Depends upon when you became aware of them and when you decided to jump in. That will be how long it has been hot for. For some people, it's been a long period of time. For some, it's been a little bit more recent. But this idea is that people that have a lot of wealth have a healthy amount of their assets tied up into alternative investments. And in many ways, comic books are a form of alternative investments. And this is something that I started talking about probably 2 years ago in various videos. And we are starting to see, I think, it kind of continue to evolve and continue to kind of play out. And so what I wanted to do was I wanted to have 2 guests come on the show to spend a little time talking with me about this article, about what the article was saying, the potential ramifications for us as collectors, for the hobby of comic books, all of that stuff. We're going to try to dig into all of that stuff while still giving us some time to get to another topic a little bit later in the show. But I want to welcome to the show my good buddy Steve Conge, my other good buddy Matt Woods. It is good to see both of you guys. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Reg, how you doing?
Hey, Steve. Hey, Reggie. How's everyone doing?
What's good?
I needed to get you guys smaller and to get the banners off your head. So now I can see you both. It is good to see you guys. We are quite the pair with all these headphones. I dig it.
Without a doubt.
The biggest headphones now.
I see Matt getting a little dangerous sitting there in the corner. What's going on over there, man? It was at the sword.
Steve, I gotta show off, bro. Like, this is just like the stuff that's local for me to grab. But you're the guy with the swords. Yeah, I'm the military guy. I got a bayonet here. I got another sword right here. Got to watch out for this.
Okay. So
I'm not done.
No, it's just not the big blue wrench, right?
I have another sword right here.
That is a beautiful katana.
And I definitely have the big blue wrench.
That's the one I'm more scared of. More than anything else.
There's more steel in this than there is all the other stuff combined. But
oh my goodness.
But Steve, I wanted to thank you. Okay, and we got a lot to talk about, Reggie, and I'm not trying to take over your show, but
go for
you guys had a wonderful conversation about Static a couple months ago. I've been on the look for this book ever since. Thank you. I mean, I've known about Static, but you got me interested and motivated for it. So I had to pick this up a couple weeks ago when I was with Anachronic Comics in a comic book show in Rhode Island. So thanks a lot, Steve. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. I just snagged a nice chunk of Icon books at a garage sale recently, $1 a piece. $1. You cannot go wrong.
There was
not at that price.
And what's funny is I knew about both these deals, so I'm glad that you guys are talking about it now. So, but this is also a really special thing. This is a special day, right? Matt Woods just monetized his channel as well. So I want to definitely acknowledge that, reaching 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours and getting yourself monetized on your first try in 24 hours. Congratulations, brother.
It was lickety split, but I got to thank everyone here who's watching, because honestly, most of the people are watching this, or most people who watch me watch this. So thank you for everyone for the support on that channel.
And I still ain't punched my card yet. This is crazy. I got the card, didn't get a whole punch there yet. I'm just lazy.
Dude, just use one of those big swords and just carve it out. I mean,
nah, I'll be in the emergency room. Nah, I'm good.
All right, so I know that each one of you took some time to read at least parts of the Motley Fool article. And I actually want to go to Matt first, and then Steve, I'm going to come to you second. You know, Matt, as you peruse that article that was really focused on these ultra high net worth individuals and high net worth individuals, did you have one or two major takeaways from that article that you can summarize for us?
Absolutely. Now, Reggie, I'm not rich. I'm the furthest thing from rich, but I would like to be rich someday. And I like to learn how people with wealth think. So they're trying to look for alternative ways to increase their wealth. And they're worried about risk in the stock market and the S&P 500. They're looking for other ways that they can increase their wealth. And commodities is one of them. And we've always known, precious metals, gold, silver, so forth. Art has always been a big money ticket buy for wealthy people. Well, what is comic books if it's not wealth? Or forgive me, if it's not art, but it's turning into something of wealth. When you had Action Comics #1 last May sell for $3.25 million, and then you just had AF-15 sell for $3.6 million, that's raising some eyebrows. That's bringing people into the market.
Yep. And I think not only are they looking to make money, they're also looking to preserve their wealth as well, right? By investing and holding their money in these alternative investments. Like that's one of the great things that's attractive about gold is the stock market may do something, the precious metals may do a little something different, but I think that those were really good takeaways. Steve, I want to come to you now, brother, as you peruse that same article on Motley Fool that I will try to link in the description after this. Did you have any major takeaways from that article as well?
Well, first, I just have a confession. I bought those two books, the $2 million books. That was me. I'm sorry. You know, I got money. You know, I didn't know what to do with my money.
Hey,
listen,
it don't count if you don't show them.
Exactly.
So, go ahead and pull the trigger, brother. Show it.
But what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, people with money are gonna do what people with money do. All right. Like Matt just said, imagine you, Matt, yourself, and myself with money. Where's the first thing we're going after? You're going after a Hulk right now. Yeah. All right. But that's an investment as well. Because no matter what you pay for that Hulk, it's gonna go up in value. So absolutely. So it doesn't matter. When these people this is what rich people do. They buy art, they buy this, they buy that. It's all an investment for them to turn around and maybe sell it one day and this and the other. I wish I got into the original art game way back then. You know, that way I'd be sitting on something crazy right now. You know, maybe a McFarlane, you know, or something of that nature. But this is what they do. So if you're going to make an investment, you might as well make an investment in something that you know and something that you're happy about. But for us, how it bleeds down to us is,
well, let's not get there. Let's not get there yet. We're going to come back to that.
Okay.
But I will tell you that you both raised some interesting points because I listen to Jay-Z a lot, right? And right. Jay-Z's 444 album talks a lot about wealth preservation, investing in art, real estate. I mean, he's basically, to some degree or another, continuing to give us a blueprint for what the wealthy do with their money, which is to park it these places that will result in them not just preserving their wealth, but to Matt's point, actually making additional money. Matt, I see you nodding your head. As soon as I said Jay-Z 444, you were like, go ahead and comment, brother. Jump in there.
I also, I don't know if I read about JC as much as you, but I love to hear about his financial, thoughts, because I think it was him who said, wealthy people don't work. They use other people's money to make themselves money. And I think that is perfect. They make their money, work for them, and that's how they increase their wealth. And that's no different than buying comics or, some other alternative investment means.
Yep. Steve, did you want to comment there before I go to my next question?
No, absolutely. Because it isn't. Because for a fact, Reg, I used my comic collection, the collection, small collection I bought, to make a bigger collection. Now I have a massive collection that I'm selling with my partner Wilton, who's watching right now. What's up, brother? Comic Book Cartel. But we purchased this collection, and now I'm more of a seller than I am a buyer. I still go to my LCS. I still support my LCS, but it's an investment, and it's what you're gonna, what you can do. Because God forbid, if let's say either one of you, something happens and you need money. Yep. Where can you go? You could turn around and just
right there.
Right. Exactly. Sell it all. Right. Yeah. Sell it all. Yeah. And you'll still make a pretty penny on it.
So for those folks that are coming in a little bit late, we are having a conversation. Matt Woods, Steve Conge, and I are having a conversation about an article that I actually found on Motley Fool probably 2 weeks ago. And I was thinking about doing a standalone video talking about it, but then I thought that I would switch it into something like this where we could come together as a group and have a conversation about the fact that ultra high net worth individuals and high net worth individuals are parking a significant portion of their assets in alternative investments. Alternative investments is a umbrella that encompasses things like precious metals, real estate, private equity, baseball cards, cars, art, et cetera, et cetera. And we're having this conversation about whether that might also extend to comics as well. And Steve was going there a little too soon, so I had to slow him down. But one of the things that I want to do before we get there is I want to define ultra high net worth individuals and high net worth individuals, because I have not done that. We basically said that they are rich. Rich is a relative term, right? So I wanted to put some texture around that, and then I'm going to go to each one of my guests to ask their thoughts around the definition of that. So the article defined on Motley Fool a ultra high net worth individual as one with a total net worth of at least $30 million. I don't have any friends like that, but I need at least one, just one. That's all I need. A friend invited me to a basketball party, a basketball thing, celebrity basketball thing with Jay-Z and Puff Daddy and a couple of other people. I didn't go. Had I gone, I probably would have some friends that fall into this category. I messed up being antisocial. High net worth individuals are defined as those with wealth, net worth above 1 million in assets. So there's a big gap between ultra at 30 mil in assets and high net worth with 1 million. So as you guys heard those two definitions, what are your thoughts there? What are your thoughts there around those definitions? Matt, do you want to go first? I saw you flinch.
Okay. Well, if you have, if you're dealing with $30 million of net wealth, you have extra income that you are not afraid to take a risk with, which is why a lot of these people are putting in extra money into these, whatever assets or whatever investments you want to talk about. And I was reading certain things like handbags and watches, and it's not just comics, not just art. There's a plethora of different investment means out there, but they're more willing to take a risk. If you're a middle-class guy, if you take that same risk and it goes south, it doesn't work out for you, that might affect you being able to pay your mortgage, being able to make that car payment. You might not be feeling, as confident to make that type of investment.
Yep. I think the thing is, to your point, if you have a ton, then you have the ability to take some risk with some of that without it affecting like your day-to-day life. You know what I'm saying? So one of the other things I wanted to take it a step further, right? Because as I dug into this article, and you probably did as well, it said that 81% of ultra high net worth individuals, again, those that have 30 million in assets, have basically about 50% of their overall assets in alternative investments. So you're talking about like $15 million in cars, art, watches, wine, real estate, which is probably a big one. I would imagine. Like, I think the article said that real estate was like the second largest, I want to say, but I read the article a couple of times, but I could have screwed that up.
I think you were right.
Okay. The numbers were lower for those that were high net worth individuals, but that might also be because they don't have as much money to kind of play around with. You know what I'm saying? But Steve, I want to come back to you, brother. So what are your thoughts on those definitions of ultra high net worth at 30 mil and high net worth with 1 mil in assets? What are the thoughts there? You're on mute.
Oh,
This
sorry. Okay, exactly. Oh, sorry. Does it really matter? Does it really matter? Like, if you got 29 million or 30 million or 1 million or 2 million, like, all right. I've had this discussion with people. Exactly. Okay.
No, I think you get the gun at that point.
Right, exactly.
You don't need to do it by hand anymore.
Doesn't really matter. Like, I had a discussion with someone recently. Like, okay, take what's the gentleman's name who owns Amazon? Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He is he's ultra rich.
Yeah.
But then you have I don't know what is going on today.
We're having some issues. It's
right,
like
exactly. Exactly. So then you have a person like, let's say LeBron James.
Yeah.
He's rich. And excuse me.
I'm gonna put him on mute. So
please.
That's happened to us.
I don't know what point he was making there, but I'm confident that it was going to be a good one. But I think his point is that when you're rich, when you have that much money, I really don't think it matters all that much. Steve, you're back.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. No, because it doesn't matter to me, personally, because Jeff Bezos, he has money, ultra money. But if you look at somebody like LeBron James, is it in the same category with him?
No.
But they have the same things. They have a nice house. They have nice clothes. They have almost the exact. They don't need for nothing for the rest of their days. Okay, so for me, the definition, it doesn't matter. Okay, yeah, if you only have 1 million, like it depends. You know, the economy is different. Yeah. You know, but if you got 30 million in the bank as opposed to 27,
it's all the same. And we're actually going to revisit that what you just touched on. I think we're going to revisit that. And we are having some issues today, but we are going to persevere. And those people that are listening to this on the podcast later will have no clue.
So sorry.
It's good. Don't worry about it. So Matt, you've been patiently waiting. What are your thoughts there on some of the things that Steve just said there?
Well, we say it doesn't matter. And we say that because we don't have it. So, but the people that do have that type of wealth, trust me, they're thinking about it. You know, they put time, they put energy, they pay people to manage their funds. Their funds are being 100% accounted for pretty much at all times because they have the funds to be able to take care of that kind of money. Now, me personally, I couldn't imagine having to take care of that money, trying to invest in 20 different things. Because that's not what I do for a living. I would have to pay somebody. And I know that is what people of wealth, they do. They have teams of financial advisors that work for them.
Yep.
So it is definitely a thought.
That help them to identify the right things to buy that will preserve that wealth. And while they may take a risk, it is a calculated risk to some degree or another. Now, one of the big things that I wanted to kind of transition us to is that I have defined to some degree or another alternative investments the same way that Motley Fool essentially defined it, right? The article that we all read did not specifically name comics as a form of alternative investment. They did not specifically say that comics are something that the ultra wealthy and the rich, if you will, just relative terms, are investing in. Do we sit here today believing that these people are buying comics? And Steve, you started going down the path saying that you do believe it. So I wanted to circle back, and I'll start with you, and then Matt, I'll go to you. Do you believe that these individuals are buying comics?
I believe so, because it's a form of investment, and also they were kids like us growing up. Now they have an unlimited amount of money, and they're going to be like, I want this Spider-Man #1. I want this Batman #1. I want all of these books because I can afford it to, and it's still a form of an investment, you know? So they're satisfying that inner child in them and doing the investment at the same time, you know? So yeah, definitely. If I was rich, I'd be buying books too.
Because they are people after all, right?
They're people. They're young people. Like, you know, I don't know if you ever saw that movie with what's his name, the accountant.
Yeah.
And when he was emptying out his drawer, you saw the Superman #1. You know, because he's still a kid. You know, he wants the book.
Matt, what's your thought? Jump in there.
You know, Jeff Bezos is just a few years older than I am, and he grew up watching Spider-Man on the Electric Company, like we all did. Watched Spider-Man and Amazing Friends, Justice League. You know, he watched the the X-Men animated show in the early 90s. He grew up with this stuff. And now that's just one person, but you know, as our generation is getting older, and you know, the wealthy people who have grown up, and now the MCU is out there, it's something that they remember from their childhood. And hey guys, we don't collect for money. We collect because we enjoy it. But you know what? If you have the money and you enjoy it, and you know that the values of these books keep increasing, you get to do two things at once. You get to satisfy your childhood nostalgic need, and you also make a heck of an investment. So I think that they're just doing what we're doing, but they just have more money to do it with.
Legitimate point. I mean, you both raised some legitimate points, because rest assured, if I had 30 million, I'd be buying everything that I've ever wanted and would not be shy about it. Like, I'm celebrating. And let's be so I like music stuff. So I listen to a lot of music stuff. I listen to Jay-Z, I listen to Eminem, I listen to the interviews, right? So Eminem has, I think, a pretty nice comic book collection. Method Man has a pretty nice,
very large collection. Yeah,
right. Not you know, to branch out now and talk about actors. Nicolas Cage has a nice collection. There was that rumor that he bought that comic from Torpedo, the original art that proved to be fake. But it's possible that he could have, because he has the money to be able to buy something like that, right? So we all sit here believing that the ultra rich, and whatever term you want to use, people that have spaceships, that's like the new term that Doug just threw out. Rich has spaceships. It's true. Richard Branson, right?
Yeah,
And
it's true.
Elon Musk. But what ramifications do we think that this has for the comic book space, right? The ultra rich are coming in. They're like us. They just have a lot more resources. They're buying comics. Is that good or bad? Who wants to go first with that hot potato?
Go ahead, Steve.
Steve, get it.
It helps us tremendously. Everybody may look at it as a bad thing, but look at these speculation videos. You know, Comic Tom puts out this speculation video, and sorry.
We love Comic Tom. Keep going, brother.
Tom's a good guy.
I want no beef. But he puts out this video that shows all of these books, not even speculation, but all of these books that are these tremendous amounts of money being spent on these books, but that trickles down. You could have a let's say whatever, an Amazing Spider-Man #1, and it sold for millions of dollars. Well, that trickles down to the 0.1, to the 3.5, the 4.5. That trickles down because that book went up. Every other book is going up with it.
Matt, jump in there. What are your thoughts?
Steve, I can't say it any better. He's right. Like, and I kind of started talking about it. Like, I didn't get into collecting comics as a moneymaker. I absolutely did not. I loved reading comics. And so I just started storing them. And then before you knew it, I had a stupid collection. Okay. But you can't be naive to realize that you might not have went into it with the monetary aspect of it, but you can't not recognize the values and how they are increasing. And so whenever they are buying those AF-15s for $3.6 million, just like Steve said, rising tide lifts all ships. So those lower grades keep going up. I can't wait till the new ASM one, sale skyrockets, and my 0.5, goes up in value a little bit. So
you mean
Steve,
the 0.5 that you bought from the yard sale with the water damage? Is that the 0.5 you're talking about?
Yeah, but you know how much I paid for that thing.
So I would agree with you that I think on one hand, it is definitely a good thing. It is definitely a good thing. But there are other people out there that don't even have a 0.5 water damaged ASM1 that love the hobby the way that we love the hobby, that are not able to get that book that they want. Would you agree that that's potentially a problem for those people? Thoughts on that? I don't know who wants that hot potato first, but get after it, one of you.
I absolutely think that is an issue. Even me personally, I want that Hulk 1. I want that Journey into Mystery 83. That Tales of Suspense 39, AF-15. I want those books, and I'm actually starting to wonder if my time has just flown by, and I'm just going to have to deal with the fact that I'm never going to have to own those books, because they're starting to they are at a price that is just unreachable for me.
For a lot of people, man. Steve, did you want to get in there? Because I do have a counterpoint to my own argument that I just made that I want to get you all's thoughts on, but go ahead.
But I think that the people that want to get into this hobby, all right, they have to understand where those books are right now. Like, personally, for me, there are some Spawn books that I thought I would never, ever own. There was a list I put in the corner and said, you'll never get these. And I wrote this down. And guess what? I have them now. You just never know where you may end up. Somebody, you may be at a yard sale and the book is right there and you paid $100 for it. Like, you never know. So I wouldn't say for it to deter you. These prices shouldn't deter you. These are books slabbed and all this. These are books that are out there, but there are others out there. So you never know. And that's the joy of it, the hunt of it. So when you find that book, you're just like, oh my God, I have it.
So for those folks that are just joining, we are spending some time talking about an article that I found on Motley Fool, talking about the fact that wealthy individuals are parking a healthy percentage of their assets in alternative investments. And we've like switched that to a conversation around these alternative investments, also including comics, and what might be the good and the bad of the rich basically buying comics. That's basically where we are. And I'm joined by Matt Woods and Steve Conge having this conversation, right? So I think that, to your point, Steve, that it's actually a good point that, you know, if people give up and believe that they will never own it, then they potentially are going to be right. But if they still find a way to stay in the hobby, if they still find a way to go to yard sales and be on the lookout and to still enjoy other aspects of the hobby, then maybe that book that they've always wanted might present itself in some form or fashion that is unexpected. It won't be you get an opportunity to go to eBay and just buy it, right? Or you're at a con and you just buy it because the prices are too high for that. But maybe there's other ways that those books will find their way to you. Maybe you find a way to make the hobby work for you. You sell some stuff, you buy some stuff, you sell some stuff, and you trade some stuff, and then you get it. Matt, I see you pointing at me, so I want to pause to hear your thoughts on what I just said there.
You have one of the absolute best and most motivational series of YouTube videos out there with your Hunt for Hulk #1. I absolutely applaud you for the idea of doing the video and the willingness to make that a public journey. Yeah. You are showing us step-by-step little sales that are adding up into thousands of dollars. And that's how it's
like 25 bucks.
25 bucks a sale, that adds up. It doesn't take long. So I applaud you for that. But that is one of the ways that we can acquire these grails is, you know, do a little bit of flipping. And there's some people that hate that word and they don't like the word speculator. But we all do that. Nobody invests in a comic book without the thought of selling it someday. So that's a part of the hobby, or it can be a part of the hobby if it isn't already a part of that person's hobby.
So that series that I started to do was basically me trying to take the theories that I was putting in videos. I was practicing first, then I was putting it into a video, but now I'm making the whole thing public. And the whole thing is to try to say to people, look, we may not be the ultra wealthy, but there's ways to get these books that we really want. And that requires you to work. Like, you can earn your way there through some sweat equity, but you can make it happen. And so what I'm really inspired by is the fact that people watch that series, Dealing for Keys, and they actually say to me that they feel like they can do it too because I'm showing them the process. And to me, that's pretty rewarding, because at the end of the day, I don't know if I'll ever own Action Comics #1, but I'm going to have a heck of a collection that I can be proud of that I've earned through some work. You know what I'm saying? So, Steve, did you want to jump in there? I saw a hand move.
No, I definitely hear what you're saying. Like, Pretty Fly said it best. He said just now. He just said a grail wouldn't be a grail if it was easy to get, and he's right. Because that's the whole point of it. Like, if you want this, and it doesn't have to be a comic, it's any goal you set. Ooh. It's not going to be easy. Ooh. And if it was easy, would it be
life
worth
lessons?
It? You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't be worth it. You know, dropping some jewels. it wouldn't be worth it. You know. So right now, I'm learning these lessons. Reggie really taught me a lesson. He was like, "Yo, set a goal for your collection." My collection was all over the place. I was grabbing out FOMO fever. I was running all over the place. I need this, I need that. Oh my God, what happened? And then when I focused in on Spawn, it brought in so many other opportunities for me. Like, and I was just like, oh my God, look at what's going on. I mean, I will never do that again with a collection. Like, I'm not doing that no more. But like, he's right. With you opening up yourself like that, Reg, it really helps a lot of people, because now you may think, oh, you know, I'm not ultra rich, but you have a collection that somebody's going, wow, oh Whoa. My God, look at that. And look how he did it. Yep. I can do it too.
Because that's the thing is, people look at the wall, not necessarily this wall, but my wall, and they're like,
right.
I could never do that. And my whole thing was, well, when I came back into this hobby in 2017, 2018, I didn't have any of this stuff, right? So that series is me basically saying it is possible for anybody to do this. You don't just have to be super rich to do it. I met a guy in California that was, I don't truly know what his full job was, but he was like a referee. Like he was a referee for like high school and colleges. Like, I don't think he made a ton of money. This dude pulled out so many amazing books, Hulk 1 through 6, amazing fantasy. He had all the low number Batman books. He had all the, what are those? The hypodermic needle Batman covers, because that was like his jam. His collection was killer. He would only bring out a short box at a time to show me at his house, right? But I'm going through and I'm like, oh my God, what? But he has been in the hobby for 30 years. His level of dedication to this hobby, every dollar he made basically went to comics. You know what I'm saying? So where there is a will, there is a way. And so I'm glad that we had this conversation, because I did not know that it was going to go where it went, but I'm very pleased that the two of you took it there, because it ends on such a wonderful note. And it's not this woe is me, I'm not rich, therefore I cannot do. That's not accurate. So before we wrap up, Matt Woods, I want to give you an opportunity to make any parting thoughts that or comments that you want to make about this topic. And then I'm going to go to Steve, and then we'll wrap up after that.
To end this on a positive thing, and I don't want to make this all about me. I want to make it about you, Reggie.
Uh-oh.
Like Steve said, you talked about focusing on goals. You talked about making a hobby pay for itself. I have taken that to heart, and I haven't paid 1 penny for any comic books this entire calendar year, because I've been able to sell enough books. I've been able to get some nice Grail books to go to Fantastic Four 48, Daredevil #1, ASM 569, the second cover with Anti-Venom on it. You know, I've been able to acquire some nice books along with my weekly pull list, but I haven't paid a cent out of my family's money for that collection yet this year.
How did you do it?
Literally just by listening to you and flipping books. You know, I was selling books. You know, I have how many books in this collection? I've read them before. You know, like I don't necessarily need to keep them forever. And I was able also to buy newer books that are hot and flip them. And I might only make $10 profit per book. Like you said about the $25, it adds up. You know, it really does.
My point here is that you were willing to let go of some things that you didn't necessarily want to get something that you truly wanted. That is where a lot of people struggle. And it's like people have to arrive at that decision on their own, like if ever, right? Like you got to reach that point where you're like, there's some stuff I want, but I can't save up fast enough. So I need to let go of some stuff to get some stuff. When you make that switch, it is an amazing transformation to make. So thank you for being, you know, for allowing me to help you. You know what I'm saying? Like I put the content out, man. What you do with it, that's on you. I have no clue what you do with it, you know, but thank you, brother. And I'm going to come back to you in a second. Well, actually, let's do it now. If people want to get a hold of you, Matt, on the internets, where can they find you?
Well, I'm on Instagram at Matt Woods Comics, and the new name of my YouTube channel is actually officially Matt Woods Comics now. It's a lot easier to remember, but that's where you can find me on Instagram and YouTube.
It's also a monetized channel. Congratulations again.
Woo!
On that,
There you go. There you go.
50 cents a month. Here I am.
It all adds up.
Well, this is true.
Make that hobby work for yourself. Steve Conge, what parting thoughts from you, brother? And then same question about where can people find you online?
Well, my parting thoughts is pretty much piggybacking on what I said earlier. It's like you said, Reg, I got focused. I got to the point where you said, I was like, I got to get rid of some stuff. I can't hoard all of this stuff. So I said, okay, what do I want? What do I want to focus on? Spawn. You know, Spawn. Now I am the Spawn King. Okay. Right now I hold the title for everything. I'll come at me. I dare you. Anybody. You know, but it was such a great journey getting there, you know, and now I'm on to the next chapter with the cartel and with everything that I'm going through with the book. And with the cartel, we're able to help other people. Like I recently just purchased another Spawn, a small Spawn collection, and that's going out to other people who can't get those books. That's, you know, and I'm not selling it at like outrageous prices where Spawn is right now in the stratosphere. So I'm helping out. And those books that I needed are coming to me. And they're just showing up. Like it's amazing when you put it out there. So I just want everybody to just, no matter what it is, no matter what goal you set, just keep going for it.
There you go. And where can people find you online, brother, if people want to check you out?
You can actually find me. The new spot is the Comic Book Cartel on Instagram. We also have a Facebook group. And to me personally, you can reach me at s.cange, CANGE, on Instagram. Or like Reg says, the Instagram machine.
The Instagram machine. Hey, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. When Instagram was down for 6 hours the other day, I was suffering.
I didn't know.
It was down for 6 hours. Doug sent me a message and he was like, "Is it just me?" I'm like, "No, Doug, it's not just you. It's everybody. It's everybody, Doug. I'm struggling over here, bro. I need to pay attention." I was like, "Is it up yet? Is it up yet?"
I didn't even know I was working. I'm doing all my work for my book and everything like that. So I'm working, and my boy calls me. He goes, "Yo, is your internet down?" I said, "No, my internet's fine." He's like, and it's like drug addicts. Like, what is wrong with you people? They're like, everybody's fiending. They're like, "Hey, my Instagram's down."
Hey, man, come on, don't call me out. But it's serious. I was like, I just need some IG love right now.
Okay? Right, exactly.
And as soon as it came up, I was like posting everything. I'm like posting,
right.
You know. So
no, anyway, but I get on your end because it's your business.
Yeah,
it's your business.
Plus, when I'm in those boring meetings for my actual job, I can't distract myself with the internet.
So you just putting it out there so everybody knows.
Why lie? I need a beer. Okay.
I do the same thing.
Why lie? I need a beer. Okay. Let's just keep it honest. Anyway, gentlemen, I want to thank both of you for this wonderful conversation. I mean, you guys showed up. You took the conversation a place that I did not expect it to go, but I was very pleased that it went there. So thank you both for that. The sword stuff, I don't know. I don't know what to make of the two of you with swords. I mean, if the zombie apocalypse comes, I know where I'm going. It's somewhere between the two of you guys.
You're the guy who started the sword stuff. Look right behind your left shoulder there, buddy. It's right there. You gotta blame yourself on that one.
I do.
Steve and I are just following suit here.
I do have a bayonet. I do have a bayonet from Master Blaster. He hooked me up.
You see?
I just want to cut something with it. I don't know what it's gonna be, but I'm gonna cut something.
You got enough trees behind you to go in the woods and cut whatever you want.
All right, gentlemen. I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, brother. Take care. Matt, peace.
I was
peace
out of position.
There, Steve.
All right, so those guys, oh man, they got me sweating in here. So again, this will be rebroadcast on the podcast on next Monday. It will be released at 10 a.m. That way you can take a little bit of Regie on the go and listen to this conversation again, which again was a wonderful conversation. So as I mentioned to you guys, there was a second thing that I wanted to kind of get to today. And I am not completely 100% prepared for this conversation, but we are still going to have it. So I want to first talk about this thing, and then I'm going to invite my guest on in a hot moment. I sent an invite to another guest that is probably in the chat room right now. So should he choose to check his email, he will be allowed to come into this conversation in which we are going to talk about the fact that the Armenian American drummer and songwriter from System Down, the guy that owns Torpedo Comics, is now rumored to be setting up his own grading comic book company. At least that's what we think that it's going to be, called Trust Grading. And this news actually broke a few hours ago. And 2021 New Age Investments hit me to this a few hours ago. This is an article on Bleeding Cool that basically says that he potentially is going to be setting up his own grading company. And so let me see if I can find the article, the portion here. It says, I don't know how you say his name, is well known in vintage comic book and original comic art circles as a serious collector. And now, according to trademark filings with the US government, he has registered the words Trust Grading to provide, quote, comic book grading and authentication services. As it stands, the biggest comic book grading company in the market is CGC, which sponsors Bleeding Cool as well as CBCS and also PGX. And he's like, will Trust Grading Company join them as a sponsor of Bleeding Cool? Wonderful way to advertise yourself in your news article. But there was also, Bleeding Cool did find rumor to be a hiring notice for a warehouse manager or director or something like that. We're not going to click on the link, but I thought that this was a pretty interesting piece of news that I wanted to share with you guys. And I'm going to welcome to the show my buddy Chuck. Chuck, how are you doing, brother?
Well, I'm doing great, but no one told me I had to come armed to the teeth. You failed to leave that out in the memo.
Hey, there's a couple of things, brother. I don't tell people how to show up on this show, as you know. You know how people roll on this show. They do all kinds of crazy stuff.
I tell you, I did bring the deadliest weapon my students have ever seen. It's a red pen.
A red pen. That's brutal. That's brutal.
I'll tell you that strikes the fear in a lot of teenagers.
Brother, that strikes the fear in me because I have flashbacks from being in school. Okay. I just noticed, Chuck, that my other guest has shown up here. So I'm going to welcome him to the show as well. Doug, how you doing, brother?
Hey, Reggie, doing well.
It is good to see you, my friend. Thank you for accepting my last minute invitation to have this chat. So I'm going to let you get yourself together. But did you want to make a comment there real quick?
I didn't see it until you mentioned that someone needed to check an email, and I'm like, maybe it's me.
I sent it, and I was like, oh, he's going to see this. I'm not even going to worry about it. Then I was like, I'm looking over here. I'm like, I don't see a response here. So I'm going to go to you, Chuck, first, because you are the guest that agreed to join about an hour ago. So a little bit earlier notice that you had. As you peruse that article, as you thought about this over the last little bit, what are your initial thoughts about the owner of Torpedo Comics starting a grading company?
Well, I think it's a neat idea. It's a good idea for him in terms of diversification and really making a spot in the market and everything. I think he's the biggest concern I would have just as a consumer is how he's going to sort of separate the businesses, separate church and state here, and keep a clear division between them, making sure that all the books are treated the same and he's not, cutting special deals for people going through him. And, and it's early in the stages and I'm sure that's being discussed. So, but that would be, that was the first thing that sort of came to my mind as I looked at that.
Doug, as I stare at you, I realized that I did not send the article to you, but I'm sure you probably Googled it real quick. So do you have some thoughts as you organize yourself and orient yourself to this topic here?
So I have not read the article yet, but what I do think is interesting is that when we talked about the various grading companies consolidation a few months back, one of the things we talked about is, will there be new entrants into the marketplace? Because there's opportunity. And if my memory serve, I believe that we agreed that you might see more new entrants into this, whether it's because they're just doing it to grab a piece of the market or doing it to build something up to be bought out by one of these other bigger investment firms. Both of those are very legitimate business opportunities. So while I'm not too familiar with the new company, I'm not necessarily surprised to see this happening. It makes a lot of sense.
In all fairness, there wasn't a ton of details in the article, so you didn't really miss much. But Chuck, to that point, let me ask you this. This is a conversation that Doug and Rob, Neo, and I had several weeks ago, probably a couple of months ago. My days and weeks all blend together. Do you think that his entrance into the market may have been prompted by the buyout of CGC? For CCG for, what was it, $500 million? Do you think that that's what prompted him to enter this market, grabbing a piece of that money?
I'd be worried if it didn't. unless he's got the $30 million and he can afford for $1 million just to sort of sit off to the side. That's a serious chunk of change, and that tells you how much potential there is in that field, in this area right now.
Yep. And
while there's only 3 or 4 companies right now competing, just to flat out slab the books, we're not discussing what the consumers think about them. There's a lot of room there for growth potential. There's a lot of room there to establish your name, and if you turn out a high quality product, to make a dent in the market very quickly.
Yep. Doug, going to you, this thing is called Trust. John's company is called Trust Grading. Chuck just raised a legitimate point in his opening salvo there about separation of church and state. It's interesting that he named it Trust Grading, and one of his immediate issues might be whether people can trust him as a retailer grading comics. Thoughts on that?
It's really interesting. I think the potential for conflicts of interest are there really for almost any grading company in some way or another. Yep. So while I do think if you're a new entrant into the market, you have to, prove that you'll, deal with those appropriately by disclosing them. The reality is when Beckett entered the baseball card market, they were a price guide service. There were lots of questions about that. CGC, people don't talk about it a lot, and I think it's because they are open and transparent, but they own a restoration correction service and a cleaning and pressing service. Both of those other companies or ways that they make money do influence and can have the impact of affecting the value of a graded comic. And they also might have an impact on what is seen as restoration or not. I don't think we've ever delved into this too much, but there was a time when cleaning and pressing was considered a form of restoration.
Yep.
And then when it was not identified as restoration by CGC, who owns a cleaning and pressing service.
Surprise. Yeah.
I mean, so the reality is, yes, I think it's important for the new company to deal with those and address those things head on, but they will certainly not be the first grading company to have their hands in different financial pots.
Yep. I will tell you for a fact that when that deal went through, I thought about buying a grading company. I was like, can I buy into one? Because this seems like a great way to go. Even if you only own a small percentage of it, that has big payoffs. So Chuck, going back to you, as you continue to think your way through the conflicts of interest, and you heard what Doug just said, do you have any thoughts on how they may be able to give people the confidence that they can trust grading? Had you thought about that in detail enough to be able to offer some thoughts there?
Well, I think some of it will depend on what the structure of the company looks like and how it is integrated with Torpedo Comics. Are they separate entities? Are they similar? What kind of role he'll be taking in terms of with Torpedo or with Trust? So a lot of it's going to come down to those sort of details and how it's communicated and what we see with the first, results. It's great to say all these things on the paper and everything, but it's like I tell my civics kids, a law is only good if you enforce the thing. Otherwise, it's just words on a paper. And so it would be, it's great if you set out in your corporate structure, well, we're going to separate this and we're going to separate this and we're going to separate this. But if you don't actually separate them, then they're just words on the paper.
What I'm going to go ahead and predict right now, they are going to have DC labels like nobody's business. DC custom labels because of that relationship that he has with Jim Lee. That's a tight relationship that goes back a long period of time. There will be some awesome DC labels that come out that are probably drawn by Jim Lee. I'm going to go ahead and make that prediction right now. Doug, I want to go to you real quick, and we're going to get ready to wrap up here. For those that are joining late, we are actually talking about the fact that the owner of Torpedo Comics is rumored to be starting his own grading company, and I'm joined by Chuck and Doug, and we are having a brief conversation about this topic. Doug, in a previous live show where we talked about the consolidation and fragmentation of the markets and all that kind of stuff, one of the things that you really touched on was differentiation of these companies, the use of potential technology to offer something different to the market that moves it in a different direction, that may strip out some of the subjectivity that is associated with grading comics, as a little art, a little science. Do you think that we might see some of that? And I know you don't know, but maybe I'll ask the question this way. Do you think that that would be a good way for Trust Grading Company to actually show up, is to offer something different other than a person grading a comic? Thoughts?
I believe that the first grading company that uses good, proven AI technology in grading, specifically the exterior of a book, in the same way that card companies or grading companies are and coin grading are, will gain a huge marketing advantage over everyone else in the market. So if CGC is that first one, which obviously has the greatest reputation already and the biggest, infusion of cash, they'll separate themselves from the field more. If they do not, and a newbie comes along with a good investor and the right technology and scoops them, I think they will gain a lot of market share really, really quickly. So if this new company has that ability, it would certainly be a wise decision. But I will say this, I think there is a lot of risk when you're the new company, because your reputation is automatically suspect. People don't trust you because you haven't built trust yet. So, and we've seen this recently, there are going to be people out there who are going to want to send things in with restoration or with the Marvel value stamp removed or whatever and catch you in a mistake. And the first time they do, it's going to be all over YouTube, all over Instagram, and it's going to sink your reputation. So while, yes, if they can get that technology or have access to it, that's important. They need to pay attention to the details and not get tripped up, because their reputation isn't there yet.
They need to be ready. And if they're not ready for that with the stuff that we've seen, because what we're going to see is we're going to potentially see some of the stuff you just restoration, things removed, fake signatures sent in. We're going to see people sending comics from this grading company to that grading company to that grade. Like, we're going to see that all over again. We saw a huge number of those videos, 2 years ago. They're going to start all over again, and the reputations will suffer. So you have to have, to Chuck's point, the policies, the procedures, the checks and balances to be able to say, here's what we do, here's why we do it, this is why we do it this way, et cetera, to be prepared for those things, because they will come. They are going to come. And I tell you, I am a huge fan of competition. I wish them well. The other thing I will say to you is I've met this guy a couple of times. I've never actually spoken to him. We've been 2 feet from each other and never spoken. I've never actually bought a book from Torpedo either. The reason being, Torpedo comics, in my opinion, are overpriced. Now I understand why they were. He was working towards this goal of standing up this company, because my guess is that this was not something that he decided to do overnight. My guess is that he has been building towards some stuff. Because don't they have now 2 Torpedo locations? I think there's 2 of them, I want to say. Mm-hmm. So I think this guy is a business savvy guy. I have no doubt that he's going to stand up a pretty solid company. I wish him well. I think that this is going to be good for the industry if they do it right. So I want to thank the 2 of you again for jumping on here kind of sort of last minute and helping me to kind of make sense of some of this stuff. Chuck, where can people find you online if they decide to get a hold of you?
Well, if Instagram decides to work, they can find me at Chuck Henze on Instagram, and that's the best place to find me.
All right. And Doug, what about you, brother?
Well, first I want to say, Chuck, it was great to be on with you. for the first time together. I like it. I'm on Instagram at Doug.Bratton, BRATTON.9. And every Wednesday you can find a blog post on RegieCollects.com. And this Saturday, if you happen to be at New York Comic Con, I will be at booth 2928, signing and sketching books. For those who don't know, my previous life as a syndicated newspaper and magazine cartoonist, I have some books. I'll be at the National Cartoonist Society booth on Saturday at New York Comic Con, 1 to 4 p.m.
Go by, say hello, press
That
the
sounds
flash,
awesome.
get to meet this guy, get a signature, all that good stuff. Leave some money behind too, by all means. Again, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. I absolutely appreciate it.
Take care.
Take care.
All right, so that is going to conclude awesome point. That is going to oh my goodness. Yeah, Bentley finds a way to kind of work himself in, you know. I have 2 new dogs, and my dogs have occasionally interrupted some of my videos that I've been like shooting here, pre-recorded stuff. They've been making some noises, so you just got to roll with the punches. You got to roll with the punches, and it's just part of it. We're doing a live show. You never know what's going to happen. But again, I want to thank each and every one of my guests. I sometimes reach out to folks well in advance and sometimes a little last minute, but every single guest always shows up and delivers. And I think that this is really indicative of the comic book community as a whole. Just a lot of really passionate people that enjoy talking about comics, that it's like you can meet these guys at a local LCS and just have a conversation, much like the one that we are having right now. Again, I think that's one of the wonderful things about the Comics Today show, is that is essentially what we try to do, is to replicate these conversations that take place all across the country every single Wednesday and probably every other day when people are meeting at a comic shop. But I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me a little bit. Again, as a reminder, all of my pre-recorded videos are going to be released at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. I'm pushing it back from 3:30 to 6:30. My apologies. It's 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. So a little bit of an adjustment there. The podcast and also the blog post are being released at 10 on Monday and Wednesday instead of 7 a.m. So bear with me as I make this adjustment. I think that it's going to work out a little bit better for us long term. At least that is my hope. If you have missed one of the videos that has been released this week, I definitely want to encourage you guys to check it out. And as always, if you all need to reach out to me for any reason at all, don't hesitate to do so on Regie Collects on Instagram. And you can also send me an email. It takes me a little bit longer to respond to those things, but you can always get me on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care and have a good night.